is make it as a tea
That
and
makes sense.
getting like just steeping it as a tea and then just slugging it back. So Jarrett, you came in and we were talking about mushroom trips on how a group of people were doing mushrooms and losing their fear of death, which is not what we're here to talk about. but interesting nonetheless. Have you done a hero dose or macro dose of mushrooms? He's totally delayed.
I
He's
think
somewhere else.
we lost Jared. No.
He's on another planet. Well, tell me. Well, let's actually jump into some of this, if you don't mind, because I missed out on Saturday, and you guys tackled a lot on Saturday. Um, but more is even happening with like Gemini, and more is even happening with what was my other note here? I made another note. Gemini suspended. Coinbase is at an all-time low. So, I mean, is there anything going on in crypto other than this right now?
Is there anything else happening?
Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, in crypto, maybe not. I mean, in the broader tech space, there's all the layoffs that are happening, like Meta,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
Uh, Google, I think, is the only big tech company that hasn't had any massive layoffs yet.
And I mean, is that the story? Like Jarrett said the other day, he bopped in and was like, "Hey, as the market keeps."
Genesis, there's Tristan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see here. Yeah, let me pull this over. What did I say? Gemini? You're right. You're right, Tristan. I did say Genesis, or I said Gemini. You were right. It is Genesis. They froze payouts. They froze payments. Jarrett said
Didn't Gemini freeze as well?
they might have, and they stopped. They stopped doing loans, just straight
Yeah,
up.
I think it was both. Both happened
Yeah.
to both. Yeah.
And I have a buddy actually, and I won't say his name, but he was telling me this about real estate, and I want to reflect it into crypto. He was saying he he has HELOCs on several of his properties, and he said in a market like this, when they might freeze up your loans, or suddenly, if you haven't withdrawn from the loan, close it out so you can't withdraw from it. He said, I go ahead and pull out the HELOC and put it in my own bank account. And then I've got a year to start investing it and make it make money, but I'm the bank when I hold it like that. And I don't think people were in that position when they were looking at their loans and going, hey man, I've got all this credit that I could get from Gemini and these people, and I'm suddenly getting frozen out, or I can't access funds. So I guess my question is this though, that I was building towards. Jarrett said, Jarrett jumps in. Jarrett's having technical difficulties. It's okay. He's on the road in Vermont, and he's jumping in to say there's a lot going on in crypto. There's not crypto, bros. And he's right. And we're investing in a lot of things, and Jay's investing in himself.
Yeah.
But Jarrett did say, as interest wanes, like being the voice in crypto is difficult because what else do we have to talk about other than the collapse? And though I do want to talk about FTX and kind of what's going on, we didn't get to talk about polyamory. Did you guys talk about polyamory? How?
Oh no, we didn't. That's funny. I was just about to ask, what is that? No, we didn't.
So, I mean, did you read up on that, on how there was like a group home of people living together with Sam and the gal that ran the other entity? What was her
Only
name?
like the rumors of it and her, I guess what she messaged about, she wrote about it in Medium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you read the article?
No, did she write an article? I read other people's take on what she wrote in Medium.
That's too funny. So I guess, okay, we need to get into this, but
Josh, so
what?
we're waiting for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't touch on it. We're waiting on you. So my question is this: what's your opinion of polyamory, and do you think it's newsworthy as it pertains to Sam?
You know, what's his name? Andrew Tate. Do you know Andrew Tate?
Yeah. Everyone right now, I think, has an
Everybody
opinion. Yeah.
say that there's this one clip of him saying, back in the day, the the wealthiest men and like the leaders of the community, they usually had more than one wife,
Yes.
and it was sort of this this thing of like privilege and power, and it shows like, yeah, I'm wealthy enough, I'm strong enough to maintain multiple families,
I'm
and
desirable enough.
yeah, and that's sort of like gone away. And he was sort of posing the question, maybe is that something that we should go back to, considering that we're seeing how high divorce rates are, and how much, how tough it is to stay in a relationship. Maybe there's something there, you know um and you know m- maybe there could be something to it. It does, from the outside, it does seem like they were at least enjoying themselves. I mean, the way that she was writing about it, it seemed weird, but
Of
she was like into it.
oh,
So
wait, so wait, and Jarrett says this, Jay, how are you going to reference an article you didn't read? So when you say that she was enjoying it,
yeah,
you said you didn't read the article? So you're talking
I
about the
did.
rumors were saying
You're right.
how she spoke highly
Hmm.
of some polyamory. I'll tell you, I was speaking to a friend who I have a lot of respect for, and she considers herself open or poly. And Jarrett's got a response here for us that I'll read in full in just a quick second. And Jarrett, you know what? I don't know how your phone's working, but you can always dial in with your phone. We'd love to have you there too, if that works or not, whatever. This friend of mine is an awesome person. Like, I see this person and I just want to hang. And it's a female promoting polyamory. This is not just a male talking about polygamy, right? This is a female talking about polyamory. And I asked her once, I said, wait a minute, you're being specific about the difference between polyamory and polygamy. She says, well, polygamy is marriages with multiple partners.
Mm.
Jarrett says, ooh, let me try the phone. Is marriage with multiple partners. Polyamory is a broader context. And she started to describe polyamory. Let me ask you a question, Jay. Are you familiar with the Christian concept of agape love?
Yeah,
What are your knowns about it?
it's like the ultimate love, like some kind of like God's love or something like that.
Yeah. And what was interesting about it is that's how we teach it in the Christian church, but we're twisting a little from the Greek use of agape. The Greek use of agape, and there's a great book on this called The Four Loves by C.S. Lewis, the guy that wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And he talks about
That's interesting.
Philadelphia. Yeah. Philadelphia love is like the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly
Brotherly.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's filial love. Agape love is this one. Storge love is like the love of a parent to a child, like this protective, I will always love you no matter who you are to me.
Hmm.
And then the other one that we're all very familiar with is eros love, erotic love, passion, lust. Agape love was a communal, community based love. And it was this idea, and it was love. It wasn't free love like free sex. It was, I actually care about your well being as a
Yeah.
person. And as my friend is describing polyamory, she talks about the people that she loves, and then she mentions their paramours and how there's open communication, and everyone is in the know about everyone else's life, and there's no real secrets. And if someone is uncomfortable, they mention it, and if someone is comfortable, they mention it. But there's no like, well, I have multiple partners and they know about each other, they just don't talk. It wasn't even like that. It was a true sharing of resources. And this is what Christians mean when they talk about agape love. And this is what my friend was mentioning as it comes to polyamory. So it sounds like what these people are describing is just like open sex.
Mhm. It
you
does, yeah.
know?
It does sound like that.
So Jared jumps in and says, I don't think his out of office activities have anything to do with his professional performance. Most of our politics come from the Greeks and Romans, who were, as far as I know, fairly polyamorous, which is true. I do agree with.
Hmm.
They just didn't call it that. They're right. They called it daily living. But I mean, I think it does correlate to, well, it might correlate. I don't know. For
I
me, it's
don't know.
somehow correlated to how messy this guy's life is turning out to have been. When you started hearing about this, did you go, oh, that makes sense? Like, what was your initial reaction when you heard some of these rumors? You believe all the
Yeah.
conspiracies, so you were like
I,
ready
I,
to.
I do. Like, if I hear conspiracy theory, I jump into it immediately. I don't even give it a second thought. Like, ah, yes,
Yeah.
of course, aliens are involved.
But did it make you approve or disapprove of any? Did it move the needle on anything, on your opinion of
Oh,
Sam?
of him? No, I mean, if I think if that's what he wanted to do, that's probably fine. And he seemed to, th- from what I've heard about it, they seem to at least been going about it with, there was some kind of boundaries, some kind of rules that they were thinking about. It wasn't just sort of like happenstance, right? They didn't jump into it. Yeah, the world is flat, by the way. I don't know. You
And
guys had
ETH
heard
is
this?
going to zero. Wait, you don't really believe the Earth is flat?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Oh, stop
No,
this.
no moon landing either.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've got people in my life that really do believe these things. But I've flown in an airplane, right? Like,
Hmm.
and like the world's not flat, right? Like you're joking, right? I just got to be clear. You got to be clear for the audience. Like, who are these clowns? That's too funny, man. Well, so the fears of crypto. I have an article up over here from the NPR. Fears of crypto contagion are spreading. Coinbase.
Hmm.
Have you seen this?
No, what's happening with Coinbase? Are they
They're at
threatening
an
to crash as well?
all time low, $42 a share. I'm going to buy some
Oh,
of.
the share price? Yeah. But I feel like that isn't that what's happening in the broader market though? And aren't all tech prices down at the moment? It's Nasdaq right
I
now.
think almost you're right. And so chicken or the egg, I mean, we talked a few weeks ago and you mentioned how like this was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. And it was the bridge between it was an entity that bridged between crypto and TradFi. So is this actually dragging it down further? Is it just dragging fears down further? Like, or is just tech down and this is actually the fruit, not the root?
Yeah. Um, it's like correlation but not causation. You know,
Mm.
it there are broader things happening in the economy, interest rates, you know,
Mm-hmm.
certain parts of the world are at war,
Mm-hmm.
food prices, inflation, all that stuff, and just general uncertainty. And at the same time, there are people who are out there who are like actively trying to work against like the general population. Like one thing, I don't remember if Jared and I talked about this on Saturday, but I thought it was interesting. After the last interest rate rise from the Fed, Chairman Jerome Powell was basically saying that one of the major things that they're going to be looking at is unemployment. And
Mm-hmm.
if unemployment doesn't rise, then they'll continue to increase interest rates. And then all of a sudden, the big tech's response was still, let's fire 10% of our workforce.
Oh,
Let's work on that unemployment number for Jerome and see if we can get him to change his mind.
oh my gosh. I didn't think about that.
Hmm.
Interesting. So real quick, Jared says, I think if you were a family man, if Sam Bankman Fried were a family man like Madoff and still ran a Ponzi scheme, it doesn't matter. Once you
Mm.
steal billions, there's just no coming back from that. Yeah, even if you were a good family man. Tristan says Hollow Earth.
The Hollow
the
Earth
ho-
thing, that's kind of that is interesting to think about.
Have you
I,
looked
I
into
like
Hollow Earth?
No, but recently I came across this like documentary about, I forget where, but like these underground cities that people like
Oh yeah.
tunneled out cities on like deep underground. I thought that was
In
kind of cool.
Colorado, that's where that's the wealthy arc, right? That's where how the wealthy will survive the next apocalypse is like the cities dug in the mountains in
Oh yeah,
Colorado.
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, don't they call it the arc? I think they do.
Do
And
they?
then and then Tristan adds, or is this the first step of the longer term play of the World Economic Forum? Is
Oh
the World
man,
Economic Forum the one with the 2030 agenda? Are you familiar with the 2030 agenda? I mean,
what's happening?
the 2030 agenda is a very publicly known gameplay for the prosperity and well-being of I put that in air quotes for the listeners, prosperity and well-being of people, but a lot of folks believe it's just them marketing their control of us. So it's definitely been dragged into the conspiracy world, and I think it's the World Economic Forum, if I'm not mistaken.
More than
But
likely, yeah.
well, let's get a real comment from Jared here. Tech is just down. Everything is down. Donuts are down. And donut shops are down. Coinbase is the donut shop. Crypto is the donut in this analogy. Coinbase needs to figure out how to move its revenue away from crypto fees or it will be a long road ahead. They are trying to do this, to his point. So are you on
Yeah.
Coinbase at all?
No, I got off of Coinbase like
What?
pre-pandemic. Yeah.
So they have I'm on it as kind of my onboarding investment. Like all of my initial investments start. Where do you do your initial purchases? Well, no, you don't do much crypto purchases.
If I buy anything, I buy Ethereum. I forget what the name of the company is that I buy it through, but like in Canada, you can do like this thing where you can email money from your bank account to wherever, and there's this company that accepts it.
Interesting. Okay, so I still use Coinbase as a large part of my onboarding. So if I have cash to put into crypto, it enters there largely for two reasons. The tax forms are supremely easy, but they also launched Coinbase One, to Jarrett's point.
Is
Coinbase
Jared saying
One.
he's on Coinbase still? Is that what the I
Yeah,
am
Jarrett,
is?
good question. Let us know if you're still on Coinbase. That would be interesting. I think he was mostly in BlockFi, but I'm unsure. But Coinbase has Coinbase One, which is a monthly subscription model to have an income stream, but not associated with trading fees.
What does
But
that
it's
mean?
well, just like a membership model. It's like a SaaS membership software
So
that
you don't pay trading fees, you just pay a
you don't.
membership fee. That's
Yes,
interesting. That's
that's
a cool
correct.
take on it. Yeah.
And but guess how much it is? What would you be willing to pay?
Oh, who's it? Is it aimed at me?
I'm asking you. Yeah, yeah. What would you be willing to
Oh,
pay?
I might pay $100.
Okay. Well, that's more than most people. So it's 30 American, 30
Mm.
US. And I thought, do I trade that much? I have to look at my fees. Now, if I look at my fees, because moving money into Coinbase is free, converting like from Bitcoin to Cardano is free because they're all pseudo accounts.
What's up,
They're
Jamali?
not they're not real exchange accounts. But when I move money out of Coinbase to like KuCoin or to my ledger, that's not free. So I have to
Yeah.
look to see if those fees um, are there,
There's a
but
fee when you switch, right? Like if you go from Bitcoin to Ethereum, there's a fee.
not in Coinbase
What?
because it's. I think they're
Oh,
trying.
because of the liquidity that they have. Is that it?
You could argue that, but it's actually pseudo. It's a pseudo account. You don't have an actual Bitcoin account. You have a pseudo account. And
Hmm.
so what that means is it doesn't incur any exchange fees to actually exchange it. Like in terms of hard cost, there's no real um, minting fee or any of that that's going on because you're literally just saying, could I swap this for this? And it doesn't cost Coinbase anything to do that. So like, and I do this like every other week. Like every other week, I'll buy as Cardano, and then I'll swap Cardano for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and like I start to distribute it from there.
Hmm.
And that swap doesn't cost me anything. It's when I move it out of Coinbase to like a Cardano wallet, like if I move it to a Yoroi or a NAMI wallet for Cardano, or if I move it to KuCoin, then that exchange does cost. Um, so I just have to do like a cost benefit analysis on what
Yeah.
uh, on what that is. So Jared says the globe is down, interest rates are on the rise. It's all just correlated. Okay, I'm down. I got you there. Also, the new prime minister of the UK is heavily pushing their CBDC releases.
Hmm.
Tristan, could you drop a link to that? Have you heard anything about this, Jay?
No, I actually haven't heard much about him either. So
I
it's good to.
I was just thinking that this
I knew
morning.
that he's like super wealthy. Apparently, he's wealthier than the queen,
Yep.
than the
What? I
royal
didn't hear
family.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like super wealthy, and so it's got you thinking. Like, I wonder if this is gonna be good or bad. He may very well be like the wealthiest leader, not nation state leader that we've had in a long time. So this could either be very good or very bad.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like he could either be very deft at managing the role, or he could be
Yeah.
very deft at oppressing people, one or
Hmm.
the other. Jarrett jumps in and says, "With me not there on the line, Jay's conspiracy theories have more room to fly."
Yeah,
Is
let's go.
is this commentary on Grant? Probably. Jarrett, and then he also does confirm that he is on Coinbase. Jamarly says, "Hey, oh, boom, Jamarly, keep missing the show. You're not missing it today, man." And then Jarrett's last comment. I want to discuss this today, but I have a whole roadmap for crypto that talks about how 2023 will be a zombie year. Talk to me about the zombie
I
year. Did you and
I
Jarrett talk about this?
did we? Maybe not, but I feel like you know how after 2017, the crash at the end of 2017, how everything just sort of flatlined for like a year and a half. I feel like the same thing is going to happen. It just when things crash, it just sucks all the air out, and then everyone moves on to
Yes,
something else, and then eventually we come back to crypto. Like, oh, by the way, cryptocurrency is here. Let's see what's going on over there.
there
You know
was.
that kind of thing.
And to correlate with that, I've mentioned this several times on the show. In 2015, 2016, we took our time. We put together a high end crypto course called Smart Crypto Coach. We brought in a whole production company, the whole deal, and it was a really good course. And we went to Bitcoin Miami, and that was phenomenal. Had a lot of good reception to Bitcoin Miami, and we came back, and that week, Google and Facebook announced no more ads on crypto,
I
and
remember
then
that.
and then it went into crypto winter, and then it was dead. We did not sell a single course
Hmm.
because of that zombie year. So I could have easily imagined that. You're right, Jarrett. I want more about your roadmap though, because what we're here to do is also give people hope. Because I mean, Jeff jumps in, and I can't tell if Jeff is giving me a
Oh,
little
what's
shit
up, Jeff?
here,
I,
but he
I
said,
just saw
"Listen."
his name. Like I actually have some stuff for Jeff. I'm gonna send them to him maybe
Okay, so
tonight
maybe
or
he's just
tomorrow.
messing, but he said, listening to you, is it any surprise we're a long way off from mass adoption? I'm not sure if that's a dig or not, but I got love for you. But you're right. We are a long way off from mass adoption. And I don't know, did you see my comment in our WhatsApp about me talking to Jason Lemkin?
Mm-mm. What's that
So
about?
Jason Lemkin, I'm a fanboy of Jason Lemkin on Twitter. He
Okay.
is the founder of SaaStr, and that software as a service, the SaaStr Pod Expo. He has created several unicorns himself. He's a venture capitalist himself, and he has the best material on founders and founder money. It's huge. And he posed a question that blew me away this weekend. And he posed a question. He said, okay, folks, for the first time, I'm actually diving into crypto and why retail traders got taken advantage of. And I was
Ooh.
like, wait a minute. Like this guy to me is like intelligent. He's sharp. I don't know what his opinion of crypto has been, but the fact that he's only just now diving in, and he said, I spent the last 2 weeks studying, but I want to know like why retail traders got taken advantage of. And so, what's your best exchange? And only a handful of people responded. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, Jeff here is talking about mass adoption. And there's a thought I have that correlates from what Jeff was saying to what Jason Lemkin was asking. But before I go into that, what would you answer to Jason Lemkin, Jay, of saying why from someone who obviously is only just now putting their toe in the water, but is a high end venture capitalist?
Hmm.
What would you say to them about why retail traders got taken advantage of? And he's reflecting on FTX specifically.
Why retailers got taken? I think
Yeah.
FTX. There was this feeling among traders that people were making money at FTX versus Binance and Coinbase. So it's almost like if you've got like your favorite bookie or something, or
Yeah.
you keep going back to them because it's lucky, or you're sitting at the slot machines and this one of them is
Yeah.
really hot. You're just gonna stick with it and ride it out. That seems to be what was happening, and everybody thought that they could make a lot of money at FTX versus the others, and
Yeah.
they dove in.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And Jarrett's floating around. So Jarrett, if you have thoughts, please feel free to dictate them. And Jeff, I'm teasing more than anything. Jeff says he's not messing around. He's just commenting on how complicated the whole process has been. And Tristan
The
says
fire festival of crypto.
100. Well, I don't think it was, and here's why.
Yeah.
This is what I started in on with Jason Lemkin, and I'm going to record a video, which is probably why I'm asking, because I'm going to get feedback, and I'm going to try to send him a summary in 2 minutes or less. And he and I have talked back and forth in the past on Twitter, and I've got a lot of respect for who he is, but he's like a big dog in the venture capital world, and I've just been a big fan for a long time. I told him this. I said, venture capitalists were the problem. And here's what happened. This is wave 3 of retail crypto buyers. Wave one was the OGs who were having to code DOS to mine crypto.
Okay.
Like back on in 2011 when I first bought crypto, I
Yeah.
still had to open up a trading screen just to
Right.
mine my own stuff. So I was
I
sitting on a
remember
pot.
that stuff. I hated
Yeah,
those days. That was
I
ridiculous.
hated it. But I was sitting on crypto. I had some Ethereum. I think I've lost dozens of Ethereum just because I couldn't remember. I didn't know the importance of keys or any of
Mhm.
that. Like it didn't make sense. That was wave one. And those people lost a ton of money and then watched it dip, but they were still holding out. Then wave two, like we're talking 2015, 2016 came out and it was peaking again. But then everyone went for their Lambos. And they also either held too long and now they're still sitting on stuff that's deflated,
Yes.
or they sold low because out of
Mhm.
fear. So a whole second wave of retail traders got fleeced. Robinhood came out with its
Yeah.
sticky ability to buy crypto with no fees.
Mhm.
Coinbase rolled out. Good evening,
What's
Allison. We
up,
hope you're doing
Allison?
we hope you're doing great. I'd love to help you with that video and share some ideas. Jarrett, yeah, let's hop on a call later because the three of us could probably come up with something awesome for this guy. Um, and then Tristan says massive hype and using the mob mentality. I think this is true, but here's what happened.
Mhm.
Everyone in crypto is sitting on some form of a bag.
Yes.
I was sitting on Shiba, and then suddenly Elon was like Shiba to
On
the moon, and
Doge.
or Doge. I
Yeah.
made a ton of money on Doge because
Yeah.
someone validated it to the public.
Mhm.
So what happened with FTX and why did so many people get fleeced there? Because those of us who are holding bags, the only thing we believe in the tech, we believe in the philosophy, we believe in the social paradigm shift. All we need is someone to validate this in the public eye, and it will then go to the moon and will be justified with the bags we're holding. So venture capitalists
Mhm.
come along, they make a website called FTX or crypto.com. There's no innovation. It's
Yeah.
not even a DEX, it's just a
That
set,
is true. There was no innovation at all.
but it had VC money, so it looked legit. And it is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, we know crypto's legit. And that full faith came in, and I think money then flooded these centralized exchanges, but no one has done the homework on how to manage them. Um, oh yeah, sorry, Allison. Jarrett's not on the screen. He's floating in the comments. He's having trouble with his connection, as I did. You guys are going to be my best friends if you're all still sitting on bags of coins. We all are. Jay,
Yeah.
are you holding anything at
I
this point?
I got a small bag. I got a small bag of Hex waiting to see if that ever pans out.
I haven't met a single real person that's holding Hex. I did not
Yeah.
know that about you.
Let me
I've
see
been thinking about it
see
because
if that happens.
that guy's a flake ball, but I mean I like his tone, man. He's a
If it works out, I'm make sure I'm there for it. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I got some.
Allison, he's up in Vermont and having some internet issues. And Jarrett says, I'm still sitting on coins. And just a question to everyone, including those who are piping in. What's the
Yeah.
most obscure coin you're sitting on that you just refuse to ditch, but you hope it goes to the moon, some altcoin or something like that?
Oh, you know what I have that I think I'm gonna keep forever? And what's up, Victor? I see Victor popped in. I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep. Do you remember? I think it was called SOS coin or something like that. Do you remember
What?
when OpenSea had just got popular? There was a coin where everybody got an airdrop if you had ever bought anything on OpenSea.
I do remember this. This was through like ENS or it was through the
S-
Ethereum MetaMask or something like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah, yeah. I still have that. I'm holding that. I'm like, yo, someone's
For
gonna come
those
with that.
for those listening, Jarrett is giving Jay crap from afar. He says, "OMG, Jay, we're gonna have to do an intervention on your holdings."
Yo,
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, Victor says the ones he's been holding out longest is XMR and
XMR.
ARRR.
Mhm.
So, fun fact on this: I was using Hash Miner.
Brian, what's up,
Uh,
buddy?
oh, Cardano.
Brian's
Brian
got
jumps in.
Cardano.
Dude, Brian, you and me, I will hold Cardano until I am in the grave. I don't even know why. And then they just launched Minerva. Was it? No, it's called Midnight. Did you see this? Their identity token?
No. What's an identity token?
Well, no, it's not an identity token. Let me rephrase that. They're launching a chain, another like Cardano based chain. for identity. And this has been on the roadmap for Cardano since like the beginning, because Cardano was about this. Cardano was from the beginning, it acknowledged the fact that no matter how much we want decentralization, we're going to have to accept a form of regulation and centralization. And we're going to have to give regulators, FBI, all of these people certain.
Why is that
George says,
like
not a shitcoin Matic. And then someone says, I have Deutschmarks in my piggy bank.
nice? Keeping
That's
it
actually,
fiat.
that's right. You know what? I keep looking at some gold Krugerrands, because apparently German gold and Australian gold are still the purest gold coins out there. Victor
No,
says
really.
looks rare. Gas, and is WTF a coin? I assume. Maybe I should know.
I don't know. Were there Luxury
But
coins? Oh yeah, there were Luxury coins.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'll hold my on Hashminer. Hashminer was one of these like CPUs, and you could put the app on your phone and all of your devices, and it would aggregate CPU usage for mining. You get fractional blocks and stuff. I had a Monero XMR on there, and then I
Mhm.
had Litecoin. I made some money. I did make
Nice.
some money on Litecoin. It's actually looking appealing right now. I don't know if you saw, but it's up 18% over the last 7 days while everything is crashing.
Oh, is that like Robinhood? That's the only reason I can think of Litecoin being that high is because it's on Robinhood.
Well, so back to this real quick. So thoughts on Cardano's new privacy coin? So, and again, Brian, I think you're cued in a little bit on here, and Jarrett poses a question. So if you have something to add, please do let us know. You know, Shido. You know what? I'm going to start following Victor's trades. I really am. Victor, do you have a text that goes out? I would subscribe to a Victor text on your trades. I really would, because it's amazing. But anyways, this privacy coin, Jay, it's basically got family, sorry. It's basically the token that will allow users to have everything private on the Cardano line that they want. And then, like we've been talking with Sol tokens and whatnot, you can set it. And then the public, this is the token that like the FBI, institutions, the public will have access to. And it'll be almost a gateway token, if I'm understanding it correctly. So you'll
This
be
is the new
running,
Cardano coin.
yeah. And they've been trying to play well with institutions while still maintaining the privacy you want to maintain for a long time. They've been doing that. Jared says, I own Etherenity, which is tied to its NFT trading platform.
What is he even talking about?
Like, I guess
ETH?
it's like eternity, but
Okay. Yeah.
Eternity. It's currently at 185. Its all-time high was 67. Now, Jared, are you
Jeez.
doubling down?
I
Are you going
don't
to buy
know.
more?
Look, is it gonna go back up? That's
That
the real question.
Well, in the interest, hold on. I should have listened to you guys a long time ago instead of buying NFTs that hang on my wall.
Nice.
So, Allison, this is an interesting question that I've always wondered about you. Have you been in crypto since the NFT craze, or were you in before when we were just doing altcoins and the like? And Jarrett drops the link here for eternity.io. So we'll check that out. Now, my question about all of you holding these altcoins is this, and Jay, this goes to you too. Do you believe in the altcoin enough that it's at its all-time low that you would actually buy more?
I think some stuff is gonna go up. Like I'm looking at Litecoin right now, and like it's been pumping the last 4 weeks or so. So that's kind of cool. Some stuff
Interesting.
is definitely gonna go back up. I guess it's whenever you're investing, it's always about time horizon, right? Like, are you
Yeah.
gonna be able to stay in long enough for it to get back to where it was? And
Yeah.
that's the thing that you're not sure about is how long is it gonna take to get back to that all-time high?
Well, and is it just going to survive? Does it have the juice? I mean, Wonderland didn't. It was low enough that the treasury funds couldn't afford to keep the team on to keep the development going, and so it just implodes. Victor says, "Sorry guys, I don't have a text, but he is following Alex Becker. I have followed Alex Becker a little bit. He's a good YouTuber. Have you followed Alex Becker at all?
No,
He's a
I'm
YouTube
looking
trader.
that up right now.
He was doing a lot of gaming tokens for a while, which I'm down with. Victor says, I'm in Cardano. Yeah, buddy. And I'm rebalancing right now, but lowering my average buys. And that's all I'm doing for the public so that you all know. I am reducing by dollar cost averaging every single week. In fact, I'm about to do, I think this would be an interesting
You're
use.
reducing the amount that you invest every week? Is that what you're saying?
No, reducing my dollar cost average.
What does that mean?
So like if I bought a token at $100 this week
Mhm.
and next week I buy it at $50, what's my average? I bought two for 150, so my average is 75.
But you're not doing that on purpose.
I am. That's
Oh.
you do that on purpose because if you buy at an all-time high and not even at an all-time high, let's say you just bought Bitcoin because you were interested in it at 20K. Well, let's go back. It's at 60K. So
Mhm.
let's say you actually spent, let's just say you spent 60K and then you watch it tank. Everyone's crying in their milk. Why do I love it going down? Because if I now buy one more Bitcoin at 20K, 20K plus 60K is 80K, but I've got two of them, so my average is 40K. So it only has to recover to 40K for me to win.
In order for you, I get you.
So
See you, Jeff.
that's oh, see you, Jeff. Thanks for stopping by, bud. I appreciate you, man.
But
Oh,
how
I didn't.
how are you doing this on purpose though?
You okay? Like how do you do it tactically?
Yeah, because
You buy weekly or monthly or quarterly. You have a regular rhythm. This is what buying the S&P 500 for your investment is.
Mhm.
Is you let's just say you allocate $100 a month or $200 a month or 10 grand a month. If you buy the same dollar amount or
Yeah.
more, so like in Jarrett's example, and where's Jarrett's example up here? $1, right? So like there's a concept called doubling down. So on one hand, I could spend $100 this month, and let's just use Jarrett's example at $67. Let's just call it 60 for even numbers. And now it's down to $2. Let's just say I bought $60 worth at the beginning. I only got
Mhm.
one. If I bought $60 worth now, I'd get 30.
Yeah.
30 plus one is 31.
Mhm.
What's my dollar cost average? So that's what, when traders say doubling down, they believe in the thing enough that it's going to recover. So I guess that's my question is all these altcoins that people are holding, do they believe in them enough that they're tanking? Or are you going to double down?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay, so you want the math to sort of like work out in your favor.
Yeah, and so how you're doing it is you just buy instead of buying chunks. Like if we sold a property, I usually do like these equity events in our life. When a property sells, I allocate it. Most of it goes into property, but the next chunk goes into debt, and but then a big chunk goes into crypto. Well, I don't put the whole chunk into crypto. I slice off like a quarter of it, buy a bunch more, and then I wait for it to adjust. Now, here's how this works in your favor. What if the coin goes back up? If I spend $100 every single month and the coin goes up, I might be getting less bang for my buck, but I'm keeping my dollar cost average down. So I'm using time in my favor and discipline to not trade emotionally. That's
Mm.
the that's it's tough to do.
Well, Victor's saying he does the same thing with NFTs, which is something new that I've never heard about. I don't know.
And it's a lot. Yeah, I'm very curious on how. Oh, yes. Oh, that's Jarrett's comment. So where's Victor's comment on NFTs? Hold
The
on, I'm
one
getting down
at
there.
the top, the one at the bottom.
Oh, the last one. There we go. Victor says in NFTs it's the same, but the downside is way more because of ETH going down. This is why
Mhm.
Victor, this is literally why I did not enter the NFT game with dollar cost averaging, because I was concerned about this. Because not only is the perceived value of the item higher or lower as the community proves whether or not it's going to deliver any value, but then the value of the underlying asset, in this case Ethereum, if it's OpenSea or Polygon. And then Jarrett jumps in and says, I'm also doing this to
I
sweep
didn't know
floors.
that. I didn't know Jared
Yeah,
was buying NFTs.
me
What
neither.
NFTs? What
Yeah, I'd like
NFTs
to
do you
know.
own, Jared? I didn't know that at all. No.
Well, he owns some of these membership NFTs like Journey Pass and stuff like that. But
Okay.
like there's not many crypto floors I'm looking at that I believe in their future that I would buy.
How
But
about Yuga Labs? Where's Yuga Labs? What's the price of
their
their coin
floor is
right
still
now?
like 60. Are you talking about the coin?
The coin, yeah. What? Oh, because they got in trouble with the SEC because of the coin, right?
Um, You know what? I don't know what's going on with the coin. I was looking earlier. Hang on. Let's look at Coin Market Cap and bring that up. Ape Coin, because I still hold a bunch of Ape Coin.
Did you
But
buy?
yeah, I bought Ape Coin. But their floor on their NFT is a little different. ApeCoin is at 320. Actually, it's up a little bit compared to what it was. I had some at $9 and at $6, and I just didn't buy again. Um, Yet Brian says, "Oh, I got jumped there." Brian says, "It must be a great time to buy NFTs if you know what you're doing. That's huge." Oh, this is interesting. World of Women NFTs. So this was a big one
Hmm.
that does a lot of female empowerment. And so, Jarrett, now that you say that, that makes a little bit of sense. I think Yuga Labs, I think the floor is still like for Bored Apes. I'm talking out of the side of my mouth, but I think it was like 60 ETH still, which is huge. And I think punks are a little more affordable. And I think other side is more affordable. Other side, I'm very curious about. Real quick, Allison says she's actually a newbie. I wanted to call this out because people can get started at any age, anytime, and anywhere in the world with
Hmm.
crypto. No, I'm a newbie. Only came to Web3 a year ago. Didn't know one Web3 word until then. And Allison, I'm going to echo what Jarrett says here. I'd jump on a call with you anytime just to talk shop. I know Jay would meet you anytime just to
For
talk
sure.
shop, to keep the dream alive. Jeff bailed out. I'm going back through the comments here. Jarrett says he's buying
Yeah.
coins at cheaper prices intentionally to lower your dollar buy-in. I'm avidly doing that right now. And Jay, to bring clarity to this too, when the market's down, if you're a dollar cost average person like me, like I'm describing,
Hmm.
the question I ask people, are you willing to double down? When it's down like this, you look at your cash pot and you go, how much do I really believe in this thing? Because if I really believed in it, I might have been spending $100 a month, but it's so low. If I bought 200 a month, it would drive my dollar
Ooh.
cost average down even further. You can see how the math works.
Yeah, I think that's when you get into the gambling. Like that's when you get out of the discipline of it.
Well, if you act on that and don't believe in it, I mean, in your bones. Like for me, I mean, Warren Buffett doesn't just, when I say believe in it, I don't mean like my gut tells me.
Hmm.
I mean, no, I've done my homework on Cardano, and they're continuing to roll out. Here's the relationships, or
Mm.
Ripple.
It's believably enough, like lots of people believed in BitConnect. BitConnect.
I
You
didn't
remember
know
that?
anything about BitConnect. I don't remember anything about what
Really?
was.
I I I just kind of like vaguely remember it from years ago, but like now that FTX is going down, the memes of the guy, I forget what his name is, the guy from the BitConnect
I don't remember this.
conference.
I don't remember
Oh,
this at all.
BitConnect was like this huge Ponzi scheme, crypto Ponzi scheme,
I mean, I knew
and
it was a Ponzi. I just don't remember the marketing or this guy that was hyping it.
and he was just like he was just like a regular investor, just like me and you. But
Really?
he didn't even make that much. Like at the time, I've listened to his speech since then,
Yeah.
and him talking about his life and how it changed. He maybe made like $60,000. And they invited him. They were in Asia somewhere. They invited him up on stage to tell his story, and he was just the most animated guy that you could
Oh my
imagine.
gosh.
And it's like,
Um,
"Big Connect!" And everybody is cheering, and he becomes like the ringleader or whatever.
I have never seen you that animated ever. That that was worth its weight in gold, man. So that everybody knows, if you're listening, Victor just dropped a link to an NFT line that he's really pumped about. So you'll have to go into the comments on LinkedIn and grab that link and check that out. That would be huge. Um, and then Brian comments to Jarrett and says that's a good shout out about World of Women NFT. I think is what he's referring to. Allison. Oh, Allison. Dude, if I had a swag bomb, I'd send it to you. Allison says she was promoting us in a tweet regarding Bankless because she loves what we're sharing here. Um,
Thank you, Allison. And
that's
Bankless is
huge.
pretty cool too. I'm a fan of the Bankless
I
podcast
am.
and what they got going on over there.
Well, one of my core values is education. If you can't tell because of the show, right? Like, I love education, and Bankless has gone out of its way. They have a DAO that's working. In fact, Jarrett and I, Crypto Bushi has done a lot of work for the Bankless DAO and their community management. But then they also have their podcast, is on point. They're talking to mainstream. I think they just interviewed Tim Ferriss this week, didn't they?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Jared says the Mutant 8 Yacht Club is around 60 ETH, which is cheap because it was up to much higher in ETH when ETH was even higher per coin, which he's right. I think I recall Mutant Apes were going for like 120 ETH at one point, and ETH at the time was like 3 or 4K. So you're totally right. Gambling, and this I do agree with. Gambling is with leverage 50x. Otherwise, it's not bad.
Well, it's not high
uh,
enough.
that yeah, 50x is a bit high. Um,
Oh,
that's
Allison, the BitConnect guy, his name is, I just looked up, his name is Carlos Matos.
Oh man, that's going to become a meme. We should have that somewhere. We need to feature
He's
that.
a,
We should. I tell you what, we should find this guy and bring him on the show.
he's around. Like recently, he came back into the headlines because, or maybe this wasn't recent, maybe this was a couple years ago, but he came back into the headlines after the BitConnect crash because
Interesting.
he bought a brand new Tesla.
Oh my
And
gosh.
all the people who lost their shirts in BitConnect, they got pissed off at him because he bought a Tesla and like he made a video about it, he put it on social media. And lots of people lost their life savings in that
Oh, I
BitConnect mess.
bet.
So Tesla doesn't seem like much, but it pissed off the internet, boy.
That's funny. Victor says, Grant, are you doing leverage? Victor, I have experimented with leverage. I have not put enough money in leverage to lose my shirt when some of these things got called. I, as a practice, do not do leverage on anything I don't understand 100%. For example, I leverage real estate. Obviously, I'd never leverage a car. In crypto, I've been running my YouTube channel on crypto, was running a lot of experiments. I'm doing a lot of lending experiments. I've done some borrowing experiments, and I have yet to make a dime on leverage. That probably speaks to my skill on research, knowing what to do spreads on and what to actually buy. But no, I haven't done much leverage, and I am under the impression you have done very well on that. What is he saying, Jay? You got Hex in 2028 or
The
when?
Hex. Oh, when did I get Hex?
2018.
I haven't had it that long, maybe like 2 years. The Hex thing is one
What do you
of
like
those.
about it?
I like the guy. Like I listened to his podcast. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name
I
now.
always forget his name.
Yeah, I listened to his podcast, and he's pretty animated. I think he's a cool character. He's a good crypto character. But
Yeah.
it's like that's one of those times where I think I was gambling as well. Like I heard about it as a tip, and someone was like, "Oh, you should get some Hex," and I got some. I had like $500 worth, and then it turned into $1,000, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna double down." And got another 1,000, and now it's worth like, oh,
Mm.
well, now it's worth like I don't know, $70. So
Yeah,
it'll be
man. I
that
have
bad.
plenty of those bags. But I mean, Hex is possible. I mean, I just think he's the only one shouting it out. The thing about Cardano is that, I mean, there's a whole community shouting Cardano. It's not just Charles. The thing about the Hex guy is I don't hear anyone hyping Hex except the Hex guy. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Real quick,
Yeah.
Allison's got a great question, and then Brian, I do want to get to your question because I also think it's greatly valuable, both of these. But Allison says, I have a question. Is there a way that someone can buy crypto without a bank account? If we talk about the bankless, I don't yet understand how people engage in crypto without a bank account. What do you say to that, Jay?
Yeah, I don't think you can. Not unless you're like, it's like hand to hand, like in person. Oh, I guess if you go to like a Bitcoin ATM, you got cash.
Yeah, Allison and Jarrett would be phenomenal for this. And Jarrett, make a note. The three of us should probably do a show on just this, and maybe we could take a break from FTX for a while and just talk about this other stuff that really matters. Allison, in practice, um, it's not practical, but it is possible to do crypto without a bank account. You're in the UK, if I recall correctly. For people in those, developed countries or first world countries or the global north, as Jarrett would remind me to say, um, we probably can't do crypto without a bank account. In all honesty, not because it's not possible, but because it doesn't fit our lifestyle. I would present for your consideration that a lot of people in the global south or third world countries or underdeveloped or developing countries, depending on how you want to refer to it, If you are in the street and you just open up, let's say you just get an Ethereum address and you have a browser and you have a MetaMask wallet, in theory, someone could send you Ether and you could have it. And now you're in crypto with no bank account. What you're asking could just be that. And that's how you give bankless, that's how the bankless can be banked. And this is honestly Cardano's vision. But the question then becomes, how do I buy milk? Or
Hmm.
how do I buy gas? Or how do I send my kids to college with that sort of banking system? And it's very difficult to do. And so you can do it. And I'd be willing to bet that people in those developed countries or developed world, I'm willing to bet those people actually probably have a grasp better of
Yeah.
how to utilize crypto without a bank account, because they might barter in the street. Can I say, hey, I got these chickens, send me. They did this in Nigeria. I'm sure we talked about this once, Jay, about they were
Hmm.
exchanging cell phone
Yeah.
minutes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so it's
Yes.
like, so they're used to saying, well, here, take my cell phone minutes and then give me a ride down to the market. So they're kind of used to these sorts of like on the cuff exchanges, Allison, that are possible. But I think for people like us, we prefer actually fiat currency. And I know that, if Jarrett would hear, he'd raise a red flag and go, Grant's a walking red flag when he says things like that.
I remember. I remember Paxful, Victor. Oh, also, I got a buddy in El Salvador, and he was telling me that there are lots of like small companies that have popped up to
Yeah.
facilitate those transactions for
Yeah.
you.
And I have a good East Indian buddy from Kerala in the Western India, and he's a good buddy of mine. And we were talking about this, and one thought we had, because Modi at one point cut off all Christian organizations from sending
Yes,
donations,
and then they
and we
use
were
crypto.
yeah, they had to use crypto. And so I was thinking, what if we actually bought a bunch of people a bunch of tricycles, literal tricycles, gave them cash reserves to go get cash like a cash box, receive Cardano and give them cash in exchange. And so what American companies could then do is send Stellar, XLM, or Cardano, ADA, to them. And then how do they buy gas? Well, they go find these little trikes. We would own both ends of the transaction. They would get served, and we would basically be creating wealth on transaction fees. And then like there's a big risk of them riding around on tricycles with cash, obviously.
Hmm.
But then you come up with an app where someone orders a certain amount of cash. And so the cash is never like for that one transaction is with the carrier, but they don't walk around with a big lockbox full of cash. But you're right, there's a bunch of little pop-up ideas and kiosks that are doing that. And then Brian even mentions payment cards, Revolut.
Revolut. Hmm.
I'm not
They're big in
familiar with this,
the
but
British, in EU. I think it's like a almost like an online bank.
interesting. So, Allison, there are ways if for people that are on a mission to help the bankless get around, and honestly, Jared's dream of getting off the fiat standard, right? Like if we could get people off fiat, the best place to start would be people in these worlds who don't have a bank account. Let's just get them a crypto account. Let's let them and empower them to actually get daily goods, and then they'll never have to have a bank account. And then Jarrett, we missed his comment here just a moment ago. Yes, they can use fiat and put it into a BTC ATM, which are popping up more and more popularly. Going back on some of these comments.
You want to go back
Uh,
to Brian's question, the Ethereum
yes,
SEC
yep,
question?
yeah. Tackle it.
It's a
What do you think,
it's a
Jay?
good question because I know like back in the day when Vitalik was initially raising money for Ethereum, the way that they went about it was purposely done so that they could avoid being classified as a security with the SEC. So they've been
Hmm.
thinking about it since the very beginning.
Yeah,
Now, whether or not that's enough for the SEC, that's still to be seen. But
yeah.
it's that's at least the direction that they seem to be heading in.
Yeah, and I think the conversation is getting more and more nuanced and grateful, and I'm thankful for it, right? Like that with every case, the definition of a security expands. Now, I don't think this will rise and fall on the definition of a security. Like who cares if Ethereum or anything gets listed as a security? Well, in America, and I
Hmm.
think also the UK and North America. What that means is you have to be an accredited investor to get in early. So you get sucked into those rules, and then the
Yeah.
taxes on it are a bit different. But I think sooner than I think the fire around something being listed as a security is dwindling. I think the bigger fear is how will any of digital currencies, digital assets begin to be not listed as securities, but still taxed and regulated. So I'm less worried about it being listed as security these days. But my guess is this, Brian, if I could just answer your question. There's George Pate. Good
What's
morning,
up, George?
George, or good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're at. My guess is this: Ethereum will get a pass. I think Ethereum will make its case over time that
Yeah,
it is a software, and that
I like that.
Ethereum. I mean, I think
W-
Ethereum itself. Go
Do,
ahead.
do you think it'll pass the what's the test? Victor's going to know the name of the test that they
Oh,
use.
it's like the George. Um,
Something, but
yeah, it's like a normal guy's name. Yeah.
right, yeah, but it's basically like when you invest money into this thing, do you have in mind that you're gonna get some kind of financial return as a result? And I think that's how I think of Ethereum. I mean, regardless of it being of whether or not Ethereum is a software and its coin is actually a token or whatever the case is, when I buy Ethereum, I expect money back.
Well, I don't. I think that's only one of
That's it. It's the
the
Hugh or
Howey
Howie.
test.
Howie, yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, I think the Howey test isn't just about getting something in return. I think it's beyond that. And maybe George
George has got it. George
George
might know.
might be able to correct me on this, and Brian might be able to correct me on this. The Howey test also, I think, alludes to not just a return, and by return, it's not a value exchange. There it is right there. It's not just a value exchange. Like that would mean that every time I buy an Apple, my cash is a security, and maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. I think what it is it's an expectation of return, as in what's my ROI.
Hmm.
And on top of that, there's a type of ownership involved in that thing. So a stock is the most obvious. When I have a stock of Apple, not only is there an expectation of return and ROI, but I also have voting rights on that thing. Now, this is weird because of how nodes work and but I could own all the Ethereum, and that doesn't by default mean I'm a node and I'm making decisions on a proof of stake scenario.
Okay.
So I think I don't think we have the definition of terms on how this applies to the Howey test. Thank you so much, Brian, for dropping that. But I think regulators won't care so much. I just think they'll care about how do we hold them accountable for like FTX. Well, Ethereum's not like FTX. It's a platform. It's different. It's a blockchain. It's different.
It's
So
different.
I think DEXs and SEXs, Jesus, forgive me, like centralized exchanges.
Is that what people really call them? Sexes?
Well, I don't know how they pronounce it. Kexes?
I don't know.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Someone let me know. Um, I think they're going to come up with ways to regulate and tax those much sooner than they'll go after Ethereum. Honestly, yeah,
Hmm.
I definitely think that. Well, let's see what else here we got. Okay, so we have the Howey test, expectation of return, big time. Here's a good question from George. Can you put Ethereum on the TCP IP stack or OSI layer? George, I think you're asking a question you know the answer to,
Yeah,
and I don't.
it sounds like a tech. I know what those words mean, but I've never thought about it in that way before. Like, oh, you know who know the answer to this for sure? Ken.
Ken
Uh,
Cato.
Ken Cato, the other Ken, Victor's Ken.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but George with Li-Fi, I mean, he's asking because this, right? I mean, isn't George the one with the Li-Fi project?
No, this is another George.
Oh, I am so sorry. Okay. That's a good question. Can you put Ethereum on top on the TCP IP stack or OSI layer?
I've never thought
Maybe
about
not
that. Maybe.
Ethereum directly, but I think I've heard of there was an Oracle chain, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, that was trying to basically run a blockchain that ran on the stack, but um Ken Newton, that's the one.
Kenyon. There we go.
There we
What's
go.
up, Kadeem?
What's
How's
up,
it going?
Kadeem? How you doing? Jarrett jumps in and says, running an ETH node in 2030 will be analogous to having a real estate portfolio, stock dividend portfolio today. I fully agree. And that is so that we all know that's Jarrett's game, man. If I'm stacking real estate, Jarrett's gonna be stacking nodes. I'm calling it here. And he's like, don't give it away. You're gonna come kidnap me for my seed phrase. Go ahead, Jay.
So,
What do you got?
do you remember? Do you remember? Not remember, but recently the FTX got hacked, and they said that the hacker has like the highest amount of Ethereum
Ever. Yeah.
available.
Yeah.
What do you think the Ethereum Foundation will let that account become nodes on the Ethereum network? Because remember, you need to have 32 ETH
Interesting.
to become a node. So what if you steal a bunch of ETH and just use it as a node?
Well, I mean, it depends on how well they can do the tracking, and the tracking is getting really good. And by that I mean, um, um, by that I mean the hacker is good enough to hack 300 million Ethereum or 300 million US worth of Ethereum,
Hmm.
and more. I think they're smart enough to do that, which means they're smart enough to then divide up. Oh my gosh, Kadeem asking for financial advice. Kadeem, rule number one, NFA, not financial advice. But I would say that we all are invested in some way, shape, or form in crypto. And then you
Yeah,
make your own decision.
invest in
DYO.
yourself, buddy. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself.
So I think the hacker is smart enough to divide up his account. So if the Ethereum Foundation and the other nodes are smart enough to block that account, great. Can they track all the accounts it gets diffused into as they try to make their own nodes? Because if I had, 300 million US, I would definitely invest in some form of node ownership, but it'd have to be so indirect and it'd have to go through so many tumblers or whatever they call those accounts that
Hmm.
uh, obfuscate the ownership of the account. Um, they can try, but good luck, tracking that on how that's actually done.
Does I mean it? Is there a way to block a node? Like if I show up with 32 ETH, is don't I just automatically become a node? Because it's decentralized, right?
Well, it's decentralized ish, right?
Ish.
Like,
Okay.
because the nodes have voting power, right? And so, like other node owners,
The
if I'm not
nodes can
mistaken,
vote out another node. That
I
doesn't.
might be mistaken on my understanding of nodes. You know what? Brian's probably listening to me right now. George Tortorolo is probably listening to me and thinking this guy's a freak. I might be misspeaking, but they have a certain degree of input into what happens. So, or there might be rules in the contract. But I mean, I think there was all the frustration about the same thing. I want to say a year ago where there was some shenanigans and they were able to, yes, someone was publishing empty blocks when there was still mining. I'm going to have to dig up my memory on what this situation was, but I believe that a hacker had learned how to publish empty blocks. And everyone was like, wait, what's going on? They were making money on the mining fees. They looked at the protocol and realized, wait a minute, this was on Bitcoin. It was on Bitcoin. So I stand
Hmm.
corrected. And the people involved said, well, technically they're not breaking any rules because there's nothing in the white paper and then nothing in the smart contract that says there's something wrong with this. And
Okay.
so, but they were still making money on transaction fees. So I think they were ultimately able to write the code and block this miner out. I believe that there's a similar function in Ethereum. How much energy they want to exert over it, I don't know. If they're serving a function, it's making the network better, right? So I don't know. And whose right is it to punish within a decentralized ethos? I don't know. Are we getting into like mob rule where the true democracy, we all raise our pitchforks and say, let's get rid of this guy? Or is it true are we supposed to let the smart contract make all those decisions?
Smart contract, for sure.
That's the pervading philosophy, but we'll see if people actually want that level of wild west. We'll
Yeah.
see. Well, guys, we're at the top of the hour. Jarrett, you can pipe in and send in your shout out. Jay, what's your shout out today?
Like when we were offline, I was telling you, I've been thinking a lot about mortality because I had a friend of
Yes.
mine, close
Super
friend of
heavy.
mine, who
Yeah.
just sort of suddenly passed away. So I don't know, like I guess shout out to his family and his friends and fraternity brothers and
Yeah.
everybody who's mourning that loss because it was like a for me it's my first time losing someone who's like the same age as me and who
Yeah.
I'm close with, and so it's been like a roller coaster ride of emotions.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry you're
shout out to
dealing with
them.
that, brother.
Mm.
My shout out is to Jarrett and all the other commenters. Today we had some really good comments that
Yeah,
really tied into
pretty
the
good. We had
conversation.
over 100 comments today.
That's fantastic. And from Brian, Brian says the Howey test was from before the invention of the transistor. Let that sink in.
That is crazy.
So the knowledge of those, and then of course because Victor uh, is our I guess unofficial fourth partner here because he's so consistent. He gets to do a shout, and it's to Jarrett. We miss you. We do miss you. So any
Aw,
so everyone, I don't think we're doing Saturday because of the holidays. Correct? The American holiday for Thanksgiving
it's
was that
Thanksgiving. Yeah, probably
Thanksgiving.
not.
So we probably won't do our Saturday morning show, but you know what? Maybe we'll pop in and just do a space or something like that for the heck of it. We'll
And
see about that.
Jarrett might be watching the World Cup. We might not be able to
Oh,
pry him away from the TV.
we appreciate you guys from the land of America. I always like to give thanks, so I'm thankful for y'all. I hope you guys are having a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for stopping by, everybody.